The Warworld Revolution escalates as Superman gains the upper hand, thus forcing Mongul to take desperate measures, and with that comes a new connection to Jack Kirby's Fourth World, as the Warworld Saga's mind-blowing conclusion nears. Check it. Philip Kennedy Johnson is firing on all cylinders in the pages of Action Comics. In terms of narrative, this issue starts off with an action-packed test drive to the last issue's cliffhanger, Mongul's twisted fulfillment of his promise that he made to OMAC, with regards to resurrecting Leah Nelson, whom he has now titled as Black Razor. And just from the opening pages alone, the carnage and the brutality that Mongul's champions are dishing out against the good guys clearly takes Superman and his allies a step back when it comes to winning the war. What's great about the beginning is the fact that we, the readers who have been invested since the beginning of Warworld Saga, we can feel this defeat. We can feel the loss and how the aftermath of this battle is tightening our heroes' chances at winning this war, which adds for some great suspense. This issue also establishes that the heartbroken OMAC is beginning to realize the mistake that he made by striking a deal with the devil, aka Mongul. Johnson seems to be teasing a possible face turn for OMAC, and with a double cross to Mongul, it could be the key to Superman's victory. But despite the gloomy aspect of this comic, Johnson still does a solid job in making the situation hopeful, because we all know that, if Superman is still in the fight, it's far from over. Time and time again, Johnson has proved that his take on Superman is one of the best versions of the Man of Steel. The best thing about the storyline is the way the book shows Superman's impact as a hero, along with how he's able to inspire hope regardless of how crappy the situation looks. And in terms of artwork, Will Conrad takes center stage and teams up with a guest artist, Brent Peoples. And I gotta be honest, the art in this book didn't really do it for me. Granted, Riccardo Federici is a tough act to follow, but still, as a reader, you're definitely gonna miss out on Federici's style, that being the realistic artwork and a brutal, rendered fantasy style of Warworld with a hint of hellish carnage. And in my opinion, the issue would have been far more visually appealing if it was just Conrad's work from start to finish. It's very uneven and inconsistent, and the transitions between the two artists are quite jarring. The biggest negative was definitely the close-up facial expressions of the main characters are a hit or miss, since some look fine but others either look weird or just way too clean. Like for Superman's face, for example, which has been depicted with far more detail in past issues. Regardless, Rough Rudge's monochromatic colors are amazing as always, proving his colors to be the glue that's barely holding this artwork together. Overall, if you can ignore the inconsistent artwork, Action Comics is still very much the gift that keeps on giving. It's a rich and engaging narrative that's topped off with some damn good lore, incredible immersive action, and great storytelling. Basically, if you're not reading Action Comics, then what are you doing with your life? Stop being a bad person and go read Action Comics. Action Comics issue number 1045 gets an 8 out of 10. Our story picks up with a war-zone survivor, recounting to Superman about the rebellion's most recent decimation at the hands of Mongul and his champions during the tyrant's all-out assault to reclaim the Citadel. And though the rebels were able to fight back against the vanguard of the Thanagarian war machine, which Mongul was able to extort from the United Planets, shit didn't really start to hit the fan until the arrival of the Unmade and OMAC came through. Because once that happened, the two champions started pummeling through every living being in their path. This also includes a brainwashed Apollo, who's shown to be raining hellfire across the battlefield. However, the killing blow was delivered by the newly unmade champion of Mongul, the corpse of Leah Nelson's light ray, fused with the flesh and the soul of the slain vampiric sorcerer, the Mother, to create an entity that the Warzoons have learned to call the Black Razor. Later on at the Rebel base, Superman calls for a meeting among the Council in order to discuss their next move. Now, after such a devastating defeat, the morale amongst the rebels is at its lowest since they didn't think that their fight would end up this way. Natasha lets them know that there's still a chance, and that they need to talk about the Star Forges again, which are currently producing synthetic red sun radiation that is stripping Superman of all his power. But not only that, but it's also hindering the Phalosians from manifesting their own Superman-esque powers as well. Now, despite the fact that Superman doesn't want to destroy a Star Forge, since they are what holds Warworld together, Natasha lets him know that with the help of the Orphan, she has been communicating with her uncle John Henry Irons for the Genesis fragment on Earth, who they have helped in building a reactor on Earth capable of filtering the Genesis energy, which is the key to restoring Superman's powers, and with the help of Leonov, they've replicated the reactor on Warworld. Therefore, if they capture even one of the Star Forges, then they can use the reactor to feed the Genesis energy from countless of fragments in the necropolis all over the Star Forge, which would theoretically produce the radiation of a new kind of sun that has the potential of not only restoring the powers of Superman himself, but also creating an army of superpowered Phalosians. Midnighter, however, doubts the theoretical aspect of Natasha's plan, reminding everyone that Mongul is on his way to eradicate the rebellion, and all they've got is an injured army that can barely walk, let alone fight a war, so they can't just leave them helpless while they break into Engine City 1. But that's when Krillix lets the group know that Mongul is not coming for them. Rather, he intends to claim one of the 7 vastly powerful god aspects of the first and greatest of the old gods, the Fire of Ulgrin, which is buried in the center of the constantly shifting necropolis. And as the prophecy entails, if one who is worthy finds and unites the god aspects, then said person will become the great hero he or she was meant to be. But if someone who is unworthy does the same, then the mighty Ulgrin will return, which is why they must convince Superman to take it before Mongul does. That is when Superman breaks his silence, reminding everyone that we have to be the heroes. Thereby, Superman decides to split their forces as they can pursue every possible chance of victory. Midnighter, Manchester Black, and Enchantress will remain at the camp to fight off the main attack, while Steel, Orphan, and the Chainsmith Leonif will infiltrate one of the Star Forges and attempt to channel Genesis energy through it. Meanwhile, Superman and Krillix will go into the center of the necropolis to reach the Fire of Ulgrin, picking up Mongul's forces, obliterating the necropolis on their quest to find the rebel base. And to get the Fire of Ulgrin, Omak takes a moment to try and reach out to Leah, wondering if she can still hear her from within the unmade freak that is the Black Razor. But he's having doubts, thereby leading to his own guilt. Afterwards, we pick up with Superman gearing up to descend into the heart of the necropolis, alongside Krillix and the 2 children, Alus Ra and Ophel Ra. Because as Midnighter points out, they would be no safer if they stayed behind, and they would likely feel better if they were with Superman. And so while this is happening, Clark narrates to us about what he is planning to expect. Picking back up with Natasha Irons and Leonif, arriving at a Starforge, they get alerted to an immediate threat. And bam, that's when they get ambushed by the Darling. And much to Orphan's shock, it seems that Darling won't respond to his commands. Suddenly, the teacher emerges from the shadow, and he lets the Orphan know that he was able to reprogram the Techno-Familiar, to the point where it no longer needs to obey the Orphan, for it's now loyal to its only master, the teacher. Returning to Superman and his group who are making their way through the tunnels of the necropolis, Clark tries to read the ancient writings on the walls, which tell many tales, but there's one story that seems a lot longer and linear than the others. And so he hopes if he keeps following it, they might be able to get to the center of the necropolis. Now at the same time, the 2 children ask Superman if they can go with him to see Earth once this whole war is, done. But Superman takes the opportunity to let them know that they'll always be welcome where he is, and although there aren't many Kryptonians or Phalosians left on Earth, he assures that each and every single one of them will see them as family. And so Clark hopes that one day the children will wear their own family's sigil, just like how the Rebellion wears the House of L sigil to honor Superman. From there, running into the monumental gigantic gates that are not supposed to be there, Superman knows that they've reached the heart of the necropolis. And from there, the group together pushes the gates open, and the one who welcomes them is none other than the Phalosian storyteller, Bayash Esh, awaiting the Man of Steel's arrival, which makes sense to Kal-El, since he and like the rest of the Warworlders have wondered how Bayash Esh could have possibly come by all the things he knows about Warworld. Bayash Esh tells Superman that he's exactly what he said he was, a storyteller, but he omitted a minor detail of the story, for he's also a servant of the gods of the first world, created to hide and protect the Fire of Ulgrin. Thus he begs the question if Superman of Earth is the one. But Kal-El tells him that all he knows about Ulgrin is what's written on the walls, and what him and Krillix have told him. Yet he's not here to redeem a dead god. Rather, some of the bravest people that he has ever known are about to fight for their lives, against impossible odds, and they need his help. But without the Fire of Ulgrin, he doesn't know if he can help them. So with that, Superman asks Bayash Esh to stand aside and to let the Man of Steel do what he came here to do. However, the storyteller lets Kal-El know that it's not within his power to simply give off such a treasure, and all that he can actually give is the opportunity for the Man of Steel to prove himself. Thus, Bayash Esh metamorphoses into a gigantic mammoth of a monster that challenges the Superman of Earth to step forward and prove himself worthy of being the master of Warworld. And that, folks, was the end of Action Comics, issue number 1045. And thank you guys for checking out my video, as it truly means the world to me. And as always, I'm a majestic sayer of words SuperCliff, and if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell so you'll never miss out on an upload, and so you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on this issue? Are you guys excited for issue number 1046? Let me know down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace.